Joining me now, Republican Congressman from Florida, Francis Rooney. Are you okay with the President of the United States contacting the FBI director 9 times and explicitly leaning on them to end an investigation into a member of his campaign/administration?
Well, I haven't read it that closely yet. I scanned it and I saw where Director Comey made clear that the president was not under any investigation.
Personally. Right, but are you okay with the other parts? I'll read you part of it. This is Comey talking to the President of the United States. He described the Russia investigation as a cloud that was impairing his ability to act on behalf of the country. He said he had nothing to do with Russia, had not been involved with hookers in Russia, and has always assumed he was being recorded when in Russia. He asked what he could do to lift the cloud.
That sounds perfectly logical to me. The whole Russia thing and the Comey thing have become such a huge distraction from pursuing the tightening up of our foreign policy, the developing a tax return program that'll get our country moving again, all that kind of stuff.
Are you a family man, Congressman Rooney?
I absolutely am.
Does it strike you as strange that the president's response to an accusation that he hired prostitutes is not, "I'm married," and not, "I'm not a bad person," but rather, "I knew I was being taped"?
Well, I just assume that I don't know the background of that or the context. I just assume there's been some allegation that they tried to frame him or something. You know, it's very common in intelligence to try to frame people using human shields.
So you think that there's some attempt to frame the president for this behavior?
No, I don't know. I don't know any of the context about why that comment would have been made or not made. But, you know.
Let me ask you this. I mean, and I understand the sense, the frustration that you have and others in your party share about the sort of distracting nature of this. You guys were still able, of course, to pass the AHCA of the House. It looks like the Senate's trying to do that. But on this sort of core legal question of obstruction of justice, I mean, you would agree that it is possible for a president to commit obstruction of justice, right?
Well, we had one back in the 70s that apparently did.
Right. I mean, twice articles of impeachment have been drafted against a president for committing obstruction of justice, Richard Nixon and Bill Clinton. So you think that is something that the president, that would count as a high crime and misdemeanor?
But I haven't seen any fact that comes anywhere near what Nixon did. What we've got here is a president calling for, what did he say? He wants his people to be honest or something, or
loyalty.
Loyal.
He demanded loyalty.
Yeah. Intrinsic values that you would want out of everybody you're associated with. That has nothing to do with alleging a crime or anything like that.
Well, but it goes a little past that, right? Because we have James Comey say the president explicitly told him to lay off an investigation into Michael Flynn, an investigation that had been precipitated by Flynn lying in a conversation with FBI agents, which looks on its face a contravention of federal law. The president explicitly telling the FBI director, "Don't investigate my campaign staff," and then firing them when they continue. What would you call that?
Well, see, this is where, as an outsider and a business guy, I kind of sympathize for the president. You know, there's always all these political nuances and overtones to every word that you say in this business. When, you know, he might have just been saying, intending, I don't know what his intent was, he might have been saying, look, we've already beat this guy through the weeds. He's not getting the job. He was a general, did serve our country. Let's get him on out of here and move on.
So you think it's fine for the president? I wonder if the inverse would be true. Would it be okay for the president to tell the FBI director explicitly to go and investigate someone and open a criminal investigation?
I don't think I think the FBI is an independent agency that has to do what it needs to do, regardless of who tells it to do anything.
Right. So you can understand why exactly that's the issue, right? If the president, we don't want the president ordering someone to investigate someone, say his political enemies, and we don't want the president telling the FBI to not investigate a political ally. When the president numerous times leans on the director of the FBI to do precisely that, you could understand why that's problematic, right?
Well, I mean, if it was as aggressive as you're implying, maybe perhaps, but I'm not hearing those kind of words or reading those kind of words in what I'm seeing. I'm seeing some comments that might have been misconstrued. I'm seeing some references to wanting intrinsic values of honesty and integrity out of his team, same things that I'm used to asking out of my teams and my companies.
I just want to read you one more portion of the former director's testimony, just so that I can get your reaction. He talks about a one-on-one dinner. He says, "My instincts told me the one-on-one setting setting, the pretense that this was our first discussion about my position meant the dinner was, at least in part, an effort to have me ask for my job and create some sort of patronage relationship. That concerned me greatly, given the FBI's traditionally independent status in the executive branch. Do you think the traditional independent status of the executive branch of the FBI is important?
Of course it's important, but I must be the dunce of the week, but I'm not connecting up those words with the implications that you're saying. I have to read that and study that some more.
Yeah, I mean, the president did contact James Comey 9 times in 4 months. He says he only had 2 conversations with President Obama during his entire tenure, and during some of those 9 conversations, it was an explicit ask that he stop investigating someone.
Yeah, I can't totally understand why the president didn't get rid of Comey the day he took office after the way he botched that Clinton deal. I mean, obviously Comey was on his mind as a problem from day one.
So I guess here's my question. There's a lot of people who basically feel the Republican Party sort of in for a penny, in for a pound with President Trump, whether they personally support his agenda, they feel personal loyalty, he's a member of the party, that there's basically no thing that could come out that would cause them to reassess that or to move towards impeachment. Is that true? Is that a fair characterization?
No, I don't think that's a fair characterization. If there's something that comes out that's tangible, that implies elements of a crime, that would be a whole different deal. But I'm not seeing anything anywhere near that right here.
But you're keeping your mind open, is what you're telling me.
Well, I think we're all supposed to need to have an open mind about everything, but I'm just thankful that Donald Trump's president, and we have the chance to drive the kind of agenda that we're driving, and that we've got Neil Gorsuch on the Supreme Court. All
right, Congressman Francis Rooney, it was a great pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.